Season's greetings to everyone out there. The program is Tax Matters, and we always pride ourselves with the fact that our own week begins on Thursday. Channels, AIT, NTA News 24, Core TV, NTA Kano, and the week ends on Wednesday. So depending on which day of the week you are watching this, you are either a few days to the end of 2017, or you are watching on New Year's Day 2018, or a few days into 2018. Whichever it is, we are very happy on your behalf that we are all here to witness a brand new year. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuluko, and it is always a pleasure to present Tax Matters on a weekly basis. With me on today's episode is Radiant Chiamaka.
Hello, viewers.
Today's episode of Tax Matters is an action-packed one. We are going to go back a little bit in time through the prism of a prominent traditional ruler. Wait for that. We're also going to be talking about the present, all in a bid to give you a holistic picture of what tax administration in Nigeria is all about. Before, now, and into the future. At a recent event on the Voluntary Assets and Income Declaration Scheme, VATS, the executive chairman of the FRS, Mr. Batunde Fowler, made a point about the fact that we are all the same, tax administrators or tax collectors if you like, and the taxpayers.
I'm extremely delighted to be here today, and I also bring greetings from the Honorable Minister of Finance. But I'm more excited to be here because we see a coming together of all of us, both the taxpayers and the tax administrators, for a common good. For some of you who may not be too sure, I can assure you that we as tax administrators are also taxpayers. So we're all on the same side.
Quite true. But listen to this next clip.
Our most distinguished sisters and brothers and our colleagues, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I consider myself as one of you, that's why I say our colleagues, because we're all working towards making Nigeria a better place. So are all stakeholders. I call you my colleagues too, because you took our jobs away from us. In those years, emirs go around villages and towns and make tax assessments, and everybody paid very happily. But now, what's the case? So that's why I said you have taken our jobs from us due to so many changes in our societies.
Indeed, when the British colonial masters arrived the shores of Nigeria in early 20th century, they met a well-developed tax system. Yes, a well-developed tax system in northern Nigeria, which had been established under the leadership of the Sokoto Caliphate, established in 1804 by Uthman Dan Fodio. The original Sokoto Caliphate lasted till 1903 when the British annexed northern Nigeria. The emirs, the sultan and the emirs were left to collect taxes on behalf of the new taskmaster now, the King of England. The same scenario played out in Yoruba land, where the obas and the citizenry were already used to Ishakole taxes rates on farm produces. In fact, it was because of their urge to find a kinship-based tax system in eastern Nigeria that the British established or created warrant chiefs for the so-called stateless societies of the East. So, Mr. Fowler, Sultan Mohammed is right. You modern tax collectors took over the jobs of the traditional rulers. But don't worry, they are not unhappy with you. In fact, they are willing and able to support you in your yeoman's job. So, ride on. All we have done so far is to lay the background for our story on today's episode of Tax Matters, the story of the 139th meeting of the Joint Tax Board, which was held in Sokoto, the seat of the Caliphate, on Monday, the 18th of December, 2017.
The day began with a courtesy call on the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar III. Mr. Babatunde Fowler, Executive Chairman FIRS, Chairman JTB, led Chairman of the State Board of Internal Revenue on the visit.
On behalf of the Joint Tax Board, I'd like to express our appreciation to His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, for first of all giving us the opportunity to pay this courtesy call and also to receive fatherly advice on tax issues and other issues that may make us better tax administrators. The Joint Tax Board is an umbrella body of all tax authorities in Nigeria and was established as far back as 1961 under the Income Tax Management Act. The main objective of the Joint Tax Board is to promote uniformity and ensure harmonization of personal income tax administration across the country, and also to advise all tiers of government on tax matters. This 139th meeting of the Joint Tax Board will also give us another opportunity to discuss some of the current issues, and one very topical issue at the moment is the need for the state governments to improve their IGR and ensure effective service delivery, and also ensure that they're able to meet their current expenditures. It is against this background that we have chosen the theme of this meeting as implementation of e-payment channels for remittances of taxes and blockages of leakages to enhance revenue generation. We're also quite aware of the recent program of VADES, which is the Voluntary Asset and Income Declaration Scheme, whereby we have to work together as a body to ensure that we capture all those outside the tax net. We believe that there are close to 40 million Nigerians, individuals, who are not yet in the tax net. But as we work together, we believe that before March 31st, 2018, would have at least captured at least 75% of these Nigerians. We also know that from days in the past, our traditional rulers, our fathers, were actually the original tax collectors. And in those days, we believed that we used to have 100% level of tax compliance. We are now here today, sir, to receive words of advice. We're also here to ask for your blessings and for you to also speak to all your subjects, not only in Sokoto, but across the nation, to join us and become tax compliant.
Flowing from the clip you saw earlier at the beginning of the episode, Sultan Muhammad Abubakar responded this way.
So when you see a tax collector coming to collect tax from you, you will be frowning. But why is this so? We have to ask ourselves, is it the way and manner we do our jobs, or is the change of perception of what tax is to an individual? I said earlier, in those days, we happily pay taxes when the emirs go around. God bless you if you don't pay the tax, but people happily pay. How can we ensure that we bring back those golden days when you pay tax, you know that your money is going to be put into useful activities for the good of the common man who doesn't have? We have to convince people, not to confuse them. Because if you know that you whom God has given so much and you've just taken a little bit and gave Tunde to now put into the national revenue pass, knowing that the money will be used judiciously for the betterment of our people, I don't think anybody will be angry with that. These are some of the things I think when you do talk to yourselves as professionals, you ask these questions and try and get answers. How can we ensure that people pay taxes? And when they do pay these taxes, how are you going to convince them there's not going to be any loophole? There's not going to be any leaking pocket that the money will go into some other unnecessary needs. And those who don't pay taxes, what can you do to them? Do you impose much heavier penalties that includes maybe seizing their assets if need be? Nowadays, everything is open. Whatever money you have in the bank is known by everybody. How can you be made to pay the adequate tax for that money you have? For example, in Islam, we have what we call zakah. It's a compulsory tax on all wealthy Muslims, which they must pay annually. One certain amount of money has stayed intact without being touched for 1 whole year. And all you do is just divide that money into 40 and pick 1/40 and give out to the needy. So since as Muslims, we know that it's a compulsory thing. It's one of the pillars of Islam, actually. But why don't people pay tax? You pay tax because you are helping the less privileged, because you know that God Almighty had given you much. All states need money. I've seen so many billboards, some state governors calling on people to pay your tax so that it will work for you. But you want to squeeze somebody out from some more money. If he's rich, take at least as much as possible. Those poor ones, maybe reduce, don't let them make sure that they feel I have paid money and therefore I can ask you, my governor, I paid tax, what have you done with my money? But if you don't pay, you can't ask anybody any question. The messages need to be sent out to people that when you do pay tax, even if it's 1 naira, you can ask governor, what do you do with my 1 naira?
There's nothing more to add. After all, they say the words of our elders are words of wisdom.
Yes, indeed. Immediately after the very fulfilling visit, the 139 JTB meeting took up to a roaring start with the opening ceremony.
In the remarks of the Honorable Commissioner of Finance, Sokoto State, which was delivered on his behalf by his permanent secretary, the gathering of revenue collectors from across Nigeria was informed of the resolve of the Sokoto State government.
The state government has taken giant steps to improve revenue generation in Sokoto, and we are pleased to report that we have witnessed giant strides in our collections over the few months where this team has come into existence. We will do our best within our capacity to see that we have improved on general remuneration so that in the near future, the state government will not rely on federation account anymore.
Executive Chairman FIRS, Chairman Joint Task Board, picked this up in his speech.
We have seen where the country is right now in terms of its financial profile, and there has been a concerted shift to move to IGR without relying on the federation account. And when, during the speech, I heard that the objective of Sokoto is no longer to rely on the federation accounts, and I believe other states are sharing that same vision. We have signed an MOU with all states, internal revenue services, and the FIRS to share information, to assist each other in terms of logistics, and also to support each other where required. Your Excellency, the need for this collaboration among the various state authorities as revenue agencies of the federal and state governments at this point in time we're passing through such economic challenges cannot be overemphasized. At this point, I'd also like to state that Sokoto State was one of the states who exchanged information freely with other states and also the FIRS to ensure that we do not leave any potential taxpayers out of the net.
Mr. Fowler also spoke on taxpayers' registration and taxation of the informal sector.
Another very important aspect of our tax administration that requires attention is the registration of individual taxpayers and indeed all category of taxpayers. From available records, we believe close to 80% of registered taxpayers come from the formal sector, leaving a wide gap in the informal sector. The informal sector has been a sector that has posed challenges to all tax administrations, both in the developed and developing countries. However, from recent activities, we have seen that our taxpayers in the informal sector do have the wish to pay taxes, and we as tax administrators will provide a transparent and more convenient avenue for them to be registered and also for them to start paying taxes.
Governor of Sokoto State, Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, represented by his State Commissioner of Finance, declared the 139 meeting of the JTB open.
I have no doubt in my mind that today's meeting of the JTB with the theme implementation of e-payment channels for remittance of taxes and blockage of leakages
to enhance revenue generation is aimed at brainstorming on ways of raising revenue into the various layers of government by the JTB members. You are quite aware of the situation we are in today in terms of financing the budget. Therefore, JTB members have a greater role to play as our expectations from you is so high in terms of raising the much needed revenue to finance government projects. The State Board of Internal Revenue had keyed into the voluntary assets and income declaration scheme that was launched on the 29th June 2017 in Abuja by the then acting president. And I want to appeal to all our people in the state that have not declared their income or under-declared to take advantage of the window period provided by the scheme to come to the Revenue Authority to declare their asset and income so as to benefit from the waivers of penalty, interest, prosecution, and the longer installment payment period of the tax liability established. It is my honor and privilege to declare the 139th meeting of the JTB open.
It's a new dawn in Nigeria, and the mantra is change. The wind of change is blowing all over Nigeria and beckons to you. One sure way to respond is to perform your civic duty, pay your tax. With taxes, government generates revenue to fulfill its electoral promises, ensure regular power supply, provide good security, standard education, medical care, true total change. Individuals and corporations enjoy specific benefits, rights and privileges for paying taxes and avoid the consequences and penalties of not paying. Oil revenue is no longer sufficient to bring desired change, but your tax can. It pays to pay your tax. A message from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Welcome back. The program is still Tax Matters, and we are telling you the story of the 139th meeting of the Joint Tax Board, which was held in Sokoto, the seat of the Sokoto Caliphate. Immediately after the opening ceremony, and to underscore the importance of putting taxpayers' money to good use, the revenue collectors from across Nigeria were taken around the city of Sokoto on a tour of projects executed with taxpayers' money by the administration of Governor Tambuwal. That done with, the meeting proper got underway.
A paper was presented on the use of digital solutions to enhance compliance by Paul Omorebe.
At the end of it all, a communique was issued.
The JTB held its 139th meeting between 17th to 19th December 2017 at Gingiya Gora Western Bypass Hotel, Sokoto State. And the theme of the meeting was implementation of e-payment channels for remittance of taxes and blockage of leakages to enhance revenue generation. The board deliberated on various issues and decided as follows. 1. All tax authorities are admonished to adopt e-payment channels for tax administration to ensure increased revenue generation. 2, all tax authorities should automate their tax administration system in line with the global best practices and to facilitate the ease of automatic exchange of information among tax authorities.
6 new members, chairmen of various internal revenue services, including the newly established Revenue Authority for Abuja, were sworn in. Delegates to the 139th meeting of the Joint Tax Board were hosted to a state dinner to round off the meeting. Tax Matters spoke to the Executive Secretary Joint Tax Board, Chief Oseni Elama, on the takeaways from the meeting.
I think this meeting has given us a lot of opportunity to review the progress we made on the various initiatives that the chairman of the Joint Tax Board, on coming on board, brought to be. Basically, the collaboration among the various tax authorities towards enhancing revenue administration throughout Nigeria. And secondly, the initiative to ensure that we have a reliable data base that will provide us all the necessary information for us to properly carry out assessment and enhance and increase revenue to the various tiers of government. And thirdly, to ensure that we are in a position to take advantage of the technology that has become the platform for ensuring efficiency and effectiveness in various systems of revenue generation. And lastly, is that all over the world, the collaboration effort has gone to the issue of exchange of information. Like they used to say, knowledge is power, but today, information is actually power. You have to have it. And if haven't signed various treaties and agreement with international bodies and foreign countries on exchange of information, and we in Nigeria do not have a reliable database, a platform where we can actually have all the information that is required in Nigeria and be able to not compare to whatever we are getting from outside, then we would have faced.
What is the JTB as a collective doing to help with VADE's implementation?
We've taken it on about 3 levels. First is to ensure that there's adequate sensitization, enlightenment, and education of all stakeholders, of members of the public, so that they get to understand what are the opportunities, the benefits, and incentives that are contained in the base scheme. Then we've also taken this into engage various stakeholder groups, like the media, the tax professional, the legal, so that they who are acting on behalf of various taxpayers as their clients will also be able to educate them and also be able to take the advantages and the benefits that occur under this scheme. And thirdly is to also adequately train and equip the tax officers who are charged with the responsibility of gathering this information and using the information to carry out correct assessment towards efficient revenue administration.
Alhaji Aminu Dalhatu Zumi is the interim committee chairman, Board of Internal Revenue, Sokoto State. It is common knowledge, it's commonly agreed that one of the drivers of voluntary tax compliance on the part of the citizenry anywhere in the world is provision of amenities, which actually is the essence of government. In what ways is the Sokoto State government encouraging taxpayers to pay taxes by the provision of amenities? In what ways are you putting taxpayers' money in action?
You see, the government of His Excellency, Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambol, has been proactive in providing amenities to its citizens. First of all, when His Excellency came on board, he realized that the Sokoto State is one of the least backward states in terms of education and provision of health sector, health services. So when he came in, he declared the state of emergency and swung into action by the provision of new infrastructures and then provided enabling environment for in order to increase intake of school enrollment, most especially girl child. And by that declaration, in the first 6 months of that declaration, the school enrollment rose by 50%.
What are you doing in the area of health?
The health sector is #1 priority of His Excellency. That place we visited yesterday was an OPD center, which does not even have one single resident doctor before. But now a lot of sections have been put in place. That place has been renovated and is operating 24 hours. And this is not only happening at that center, it is all over the states. The government has provided vehicles, ambulances, and then increased doctors' incentives, nurses' incentives. So everybody is happy with His Excellency on the issue of health sector. I'm sure if we do not rank #1 in Nigeria, maybe we will rank #2.
We also visited a road, a particular road. What is the importance of that road?
That road is a link between Abdullahi Fodio Road and the Western Bypass. It has never been in existence at the end of the road because of the muddy area. But His Excellency decided to open that place in order to reduce traffic between Abdullahi Fodio and the Central Market. So you can take that road to the university through the Western bypass. You can also take it to the Sheikh Kangiwa Secretariat and then out of Sokoto through that Western bypass. This is taxpayers' money. His Excellency is using revenue as a springboard to bring development to the people. So I urge citizens of Sokoto State to look at these strides and then live up to their responsibility by also paying their own revenue as and when due.
And on that note, we wish all our viewers a prosperous 2018. From Chiamaka.
Thank you for watching.